Hi friends. This video is for anyone who has experienced sexual abuse or any form of abuse for that matter and has chosen to silence their own voice out of fear of backlash, fear of discrimination, fear of disbelief, fear of neglect, fear of judgment. I recently went through an experience with my doctor, my family doctor, a new family doctor. And it's been quite heavy for me since I left there last. And I left there last probably at the beginning of September, I believe. Now, I left there with the feeling that I was touched by unloving hands. And the clear indicator that that is truth is that I went the whole way home with my backpack on my chest, holding it, gripping it, holding it tight as if it were hiding or protecting my heart, as if it were concealing something I didn't know how to express. I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know what to do. Now, 2 months later, I feel at a loss for words, because in this piece of my life, the many times that I have experienced abuse, speaking up for myself was never what I was taught. It was never what I was taught. In fact, suppressing and hiding and living in shame and fear and guilt, and just continuing on. And on top of that, putting myself back into an unsafe situation has been a reoccurring pattern for me since childhood. I guess I should have started with, this is a deep message. But it took me a lot to work up the courage to share this message. Simply because, how do you know what to do in a situation you've experienced so many times and dealt with in a suppressive way so many times? How do you work up the courage or the strength or the boldness to speak your truth? And who do you even tell? Where along the lines do we begin to convince ourselves that our safety is top priority? I don't know who else needs to hear this, but I definitely needed to share this. My heart hurts a little bit because when I attempted to talk to a different doctor, they basically told me that it was all in my head and that I shouldn't give up what I have because the chances of me getting another are slim to none. And you know what? This message may even resonate for beings and people who are having a hard time in their lives setting boundaries. Setting boundaries in places with people who they're afraid either to lose or afraid of the backlash that may come from speaking our truth. I did this video in the darkness because a part of me was afraid to show my face. And that's that fear. That's that fear, I guess, of being seen in my pain. It's one thing to share messages of hope, of freedom, of love, of passion, of inspiration, of creativity. But I want to normalize speaking about our pain, about our shame, about our guilt, about our fears. I think I feel that a lot of life has been masked by fear. That a lot of us have been taught or led to believe that the dark side of us, the pain, the shame, the guilt, the embarrassment, but there's also a dark side of us that when set free flourishes. However, when it's caged, it will still flourish in a way that will eat you from the inside out, in a way that will cause discomfort, disease, ailments, so on and so forth. Our darkness is not a devil. Our darkness is a teacher. And when we allow our teacher in, when we humble ourselves and recognize that all parts of us are for a purpose, then we are joined in unity with an unstoppable world. And we are joined in unity. So I light this flame and I ask again for us as a collective to be reunited with a side of us we've turned away, with a side of us we often neglect, with a side of us we've chosen to be afraid of, we've been influenced to be afraid of, we've been taught to fear. Another deep message for the collective. I wish you healing during this time, during the fall and the autumn season. Let's shed layers of fear and let's build confidence and compassion and connection through speaking our truth, regardless of what others want from us. And so today, instead of listening to the healthcare team, I am choosing to make a report on my doctor. She's not really my doctor anymore because I chose that day that I was never going back there. That's how I know that what happened in that office wasn't right. Because I am not the type of person to allow fear to stop me from anything. In fact, I even contemplated going back just to prove myself right or wrong. But it seems I can do that just by listening to my intuition, by trusting my own voice, my own feelings, my own heart. I study myself every day in all ways that arise. So when something is out of sorts, when something does not make sense, when something does not align, I know because I discover. Now, I don't know who needed to hear this, but I definitely needed to speak it. So I'm going to let source consciousness do what source consciousness does and align this with the people and the places that it needs to be aligned with. Once again, thank you for allowing me the freedom and the space to speak my truth. I hope and I pray that each video that resonates with you is a reminder of your strengths, your capabilities, and the freedom that you deserve to. I can't protect you, but by protecting myself and leading in that way, my number one prayer is to inspire you to protect yourself regardless of who you lose along the way, regardless of who wants to fire up and share anger, regardless of who disagrees, regardless of any disbelief. Protecting yourself, standing up for yourself, choosing yourself should, is always top priority. So, Good morning from Coquitlam, BC. Take care of yourself in whatever way, shape, or form that means. Continue to align with your highest, and your highest will continue to lead you home. I love you, I love you, I love you. And I say that genuinely because I recognize that you and me are versions of one another, that sometimes we find it hard and difficult to see. I wish you the best.